for most of his adult life prior to his return to his magical hometown. A venue outside the magic realms allowed everyone to be included, but it also meant our magical guests had to be on their best behavior, especially the 10-pound cat sitting in the back seat. Goddess help us. Sirens sounded from somewhere on the highway, the ear-piercing squeal temporarily overpowering the cacophony of honking and angry drivers leaning out their windows to shout colorful things at the metal chicken lurching down the road. "Oh boy," I said, automatically scrunching down in the passenger seat. "Let's hope Templeton doesn't spot us." Celine snickered.
"Why not? He'd be overjoyed to find us leaving town."
I frowned. My familiar refused to take the sheriff's latest threat seriously. After we'd, and by we, I mostly meant Celine, inserted ourselves into a local murder investigation, he'd threatened to have us hexiled from Winterspell altogether. It wasn't as simple as all that, of course. There would have to be a formal complaint, a hearing before a gathering of agents from the Arcane Order, and a drawn-out deliberation period. But if Templeton followed through on the threat and drop-kicked the first domino into motion, there was no telling what might happen. The truth was, since Celine had formally become my familiar, I'd found myself doing things I'd never dreamed of before, and not in a good way. "This is the Winterspell PD," a crackling voice erupted from a bullhorn pointed out a squad car window as it zipped past the line of cars and trucks stacked up behind the chicken. "Pull over the, vehicle." Celine snickered.
"I told you we should have packed road trip snacks. I could use some kettle corn right about now."
Liana nodded as she pressed her nose to the window. "Ooh, same." The huge metal chicken swung around, its lifeless eyes somehow spotting the squad car, the blue and red lights reflecting off its shiny metal surface. The witch who lived inside the house/chicken fashioned herself as a knockoff version of Baba Yaga, and she and her strange mobile home had been giving the Winterspell PD trouble since the day she arrived in town and parked her chicken at the campgrounds near the lake. Her presence in town was the topic of debate at just about every town hall meeting since, and despite a myriad of tickets and protests, she hadn't yet taken the hint and moved on. Naturally, she would pick the Thursday before my Sunday wedding to pull up her stakes and hit the road. "I hope they can get the dang thing off to the shoulder," I muttered, my hands twisting together in my lap as I watched 3 squad cars form a half circle around the chicken, preventing it, at least in theory, from backtracking and heading into Winterspell proper. I was looking forward to one night to settle in before the guests start showing up. Clint's hand stayed on my knee, warm and comforting. He squeezed gently and gave me a smile. "It'll all work out. You know I've got a lead foot once I get out onto the open road." "Don't worry about it, Cora," Liana chimed in, leaning forward so her head appeared between the 2 front seats. "If this takes too much longer, I'll call ahead and let Valerie know we're running a tiny bit late." The wedding wasn't until Sunday afternoon, but we'd booked out the majority of the lodge for the entire weekend. We were scheduled to go for a hike Friday morning and get back in time to welcome the first wave of guests with a fancy brunch. Saturday was jam-packed with various activities, as we took the opportunity of the late summer weather to get out for hiking and recreation on the river. The rehearsal was scheduled for the early evening, with a big outdoor dinner to cap off the day, complete with a bonfire, s'mores station, and an open bar. The wedding ceremony was set for 5:30 Sunday afternoon, and we'd spend the rest of the night celebrating. Our guests would send us off to our honeymoon Monday morning, then depart to return home. Crunch.
"Ooh,"
Celine exclaimed, launching over Liana to land on the center console. Ahead, Egbert swung his metal head around and rammed his beak into the flashing bar of lights atop the nearest cruiser. I winced. The officers poured out of their cars and started flinging magic at the chicken. This only seemed to enrage him further, and he spun, knocking into another squad car with his feathered behind. We'd seen the feathers up close, and while they were crafted from lightweight sheets of metal, they still packed a punch.